What's going on? It's your counselor, Polly Rob. Welcome to another episode of the Polly Rob Podcast. Appreciate everybody showing love. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit the notifications for all my content. Now, let's get right into it. Y'all thought I was going to run away from this topic, huh? Y'all thought I was going to run away from this J. Cole Fall Off album. Y'all thought I was going to run away from that? There's a couple of people that have watched my content on the previous J. Cole mixtape, The Birthday Blizzard. And I'm not going to lie, we've been having these debates and conversations about how that project was. Let's see where the fall off stands. You know what I mean? We've been in the comments having a debate. And I know a couple of y'all thought I was going to run away from listening to this project and not giving my feedback. I'm definitely going to do that. This blog is for that, but it's also for a couple of other elements that I spoke about before that I believe came to life. I believe certain things that I said before, it actually happened. The fall off, dropped about 2 weeks ago or so. I'm not going to lie, I am late doing this blog, but one thing I want to always make sure that I do is do my due diligence when I listen to these projects. I'm not saying I'm going to go on a whole deep dive, but what I am saying is, in order for me to assess a particular project, I need some time. I need some time to listen, dissect, apply it to my life, work out to it, do some, editing to it, things like that. Like, I like to live with music, and I don't know how you guys judge it. I don't know how y'all might just listen to the project once and then give y'all opinion as if your first judgment is the right judgment. I don't know. Some people it is, some people it's not. For me, I like to give it time. So I made sure I gave it at least a week and a half or so, and I had some other work that I had to do anyway. So here I am. I'm ready to talk about it. Now, this Fall Off album, from what, I'm hearing, is J. Cole's last project. Now, I don't know if that's true or not because, these artists like to play and dance around with whether I'm retiring or not. Whether he decides to retire, give it up, he's given us enough music over the span of his catalog and the span of his rap career. He's given us enough music. So, salute to J. Cole, regardless if he feels like this is his last album or not. But this album has been highly anticipated due to the fact of a couple of things. J. Cole not dropping the music in a while. When he did drop music, it was probably features or, like the mixtape that we got. Of course, the Kendrick situation of J. Cole not responding. We ain't got to talk about that. We talked about that enough. But that was one of the reasons why people was like, okay, what is this Fall Off album going to sound like? I wanted to know. I'm not going to say I'm the biggest J. Cole fan, but I am a fan of his work that he put together, and I feel like he's one of the best that we've ever seen. That is a fact. That is true. Per the mixtape that dropped previously before this fall off, it was The Birthday Blizzard. I specifically said, and I quote, although he's rapping at an elite level, J. Cole just spitting bars about how he's the best is something that I feel like we don't want to hear. I don't want to hear it. I feel like there were other people that didn't want to hear it. That's neither here nor there because now we are at the point where this album, The Fall Off, is here. Now, first off, I want to say shout out to J. Cole for being able to not only continue elite stellar music, but also having a great hand in the production of this project. You can hear J. Cole production all through this project, for sure. That is actually one of his strengths that I don't think people really pay attention to. You know what I mean? There's records like Safety. Safety is fire. You know what I'm saying? Safety is fire. One of the best records on the project, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Even what he's talking about is just really, feeling at home, feeling at home with how he approaches going back to his hometown, you know, talking to the people that's in his hometown, the things that's been happening while he's been away, coming back. I mean, this album is really about J. Cole coming back to his hometown roots. You know what I mean? I don't know if there's a correlation between titling it The Fall Off and that element of him coming back to his roots, but that's the energy. And I think every successful artist or successful creator has a moment where they go back to their hometown. Now, it's a double disc. This album is a double disc. And the intro, I'll say this. Disc 1 and Disc 2 is approached in J. Cole's mind, and from what we've been reading, that Disc 1 is J. Cole going back to his hometown of Fayetteville when he reached 29. So his life up until 29, and then him going back to his hometown at 29, and the things that he's experienced up to that point. Disc 2 is when he reached 39, you know what I mean? And it's him going back to his hometown being at age 39 and just his life and his career up until that point. Now, that's very significant because first off, J. Cole is, 40 something, you know what I mean? Or early 40s. I don't know. I don't know his exact age. Put it in the comments what's his exact age. But number one, we see that once again, some of our best lyricists and best music makers in the game are over 35. I got to be honest. A lot of people say that it's a young man's game. No, it's not. No, it's not. It is an older, mature man's game, if you want to put it into context, because all of the elite rappers are over 35. Name me somebody under 35 that's considered an elite rapper. Even the artists who got a late start and they're elite now in the industry, they're over 35. So let's just get that out the way. Secondly, I love that concept of returning back to your home roots at certain ages, because let's just take the stardom out the way. Let's take being rich. Let's take all of that stuff out the way. There's so many people who can identify moving from their hometown for whatever reason, whether it was college, whether it was building a family, whether it was a job, whether it was, had to change scenery. On every level, we have experienced some level of going back to our childhood, going back to our early days of our life, and evaluating what's new about us as opposed of what's new about the city. We all go through that. Even me. I've been lucky to live, in New York and Brooklyn, and also live in Inglewood, California at separate times in my life. I literally live probably a little bit more in Inglewood than New York, but still almost like a little bit more than a half and half. Excuse me. And when I go back to New York, when I have the chance to, I go back to my old blocks. I go back to the old places where I used to eat to see if they're still there. Hopefully some of my old friends are still there. Last time I went, they were. Go back and see the old school, even, in Inglewood, which, I'm in LA now, but Inglewood High School, where I went to, is completely shut down. It's being rebuilt. So we all go through these things. And I would advise everyone that, no matter how old you are, take a trip down memory lane real quick. You know what I mean? Take a trip down memory lane. Let's get back to this album. On top of the concept of this album, it's very clear that J. Cole was very personal about the storylines on this album, personal about him being hands-on the production, and also reflecting at the same time. So that's what, first off, from the beginning of the album, I already loved it. Like from 2-6, you know what I'm saying, the safety. When I got to safety, I played that probably about 20 to 30 times before I even listened to the rest of the album. Because that record, it resonated. It resonated. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, he's lyrically barring shit down. That's just what he do. He lyrically gives everybody the business, and he's also storytelling at the same time, which is something that I don't think people give J. Cole a lot of credit for. See, I know people was mad at me when I was saying I don't want to hear you being the best lyricist on, on the mixtape stuff. I know I said that, but it's because there are so many other elements to J. Cole that I love. Storytelling, making music that's making us reflect. I think that's the best type of J. Cole music that we want to hear. Things that make us reflect. You know what I'm saying? The record, Poor Thing. Poor Thing, he's going at some lyricists, I think some smaller lyricists, but even when he's displaying his lyricism on that, he's directly talking about certain things that artists do that think that they the ish, and what being the ish really is. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff that artists that don't have a clue what real greatness is, and the difference between that and what somebody like J. Cole can do. And then, man, listen, all the artists that have made it big on any level, you always got somebody from the town, some artist from the town that always hating. They always got something to say. Poor Thing is also one of my favorite records. You know what I'm saying? Then we got Bounce Road Blues. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm pronouncing that well. Bounce Road Blues with Tim's and Future. That record is dope. I had to learn to enjoy the record only because when Future first came on, it sounded kind of different than what we used to hear in Future. But once I got that out of my brain, that record is fire. And then that record, once again, it's about reflection. It's about reflecting on what's home and the things that we went through. You know what I'm saying? I love that. This album, and let me just say this now that it's in my head. This album, to me, is an album we really get to see more of who J. Cole is, where he comes from. Even the intro, when you first start off the album, he's playing some style of music that I'm pretty sure it's very popular in Fayetteville. And then the shots ring out. He's putting us in the world of where he comes from. That's what I wanted from J. Cole from the beginning. This is what I wanted. I want the concepts. I want the storylines. Put me in your world. That's what I was talking about the whole time. Put me in your world. He's done that before on 2 other albums. He's done that before. I'm not saying he's never done that. But that's what I like from J. Cole, was put us in the world that we feel like we could know more of you. Especially if you're saying this is your last album. Put us in the driver's seat of your world, and I think he's done that. You know, there are braggadocious records like Who the Fuck Is You, Drum and Bass, 2-6. There's other records on here where he's like, lyrically doing his thing. Nothing wrong with that. Those are dope records. But the records that I really love is The Fall Off Is Inevitable. What's the other record that I like? Life Sentence, Fire. You know what I mean? Quick Stop. Quick Stop is probably one of the dopest records that J. Cole has ever done. So, Quick Stop, and I don't know if people are listening to enough of the album to get to this song. I think this song should have been higher, but I get it. I understand. I understand the context of it. I don't want to take away from that. Quick Stop is about, of course, Quick Stop is usually like a place, a gas station, or like a store in his town. I don't know which one it is, but it's a quick stop where you just go get some snacks and stuff like that. So the story is about J. Cole stopping to go get some snacks or going to get some gas or whatever the case may be. And he's stopped by a fan of J. Cole. First, it's almost like, okay, why are you staring at me? But then he figures out it's J. Cole, and this man goes into an absolute rant about how J. Cole's music inspired him, made him want to do what he wants to do in his life. And as J. Cole is rapping as the guy that's excited to see J. Cole, he starts going into this kind of like mental rant, going from, you inspired me, you made me see what's good and bad about myself, you've made me think about my life choices, the things that I should be doing. And then he kind of like, almost like as he's talking, it's almost like he's blacking out, in a sense of like he's reflecting on his own life just because he's seen J. Cole. And that's a real thing. Let me tell you, fans that reflect on some of their choices, some of their life goals, things like that, when they see one of their idols or stars, that is a real thing. I've witnessed that in real time. It's really humbling. It's very humbling. It makes you understand how much you mean, or even your music, how much your music means to people. Like, these fans, they drive to your music. They dance to your music. They learn to your music. I've so many college kids listen to J. Cole while they're studying. They work out to your music. They cry to your music. It's so many emotions that goes on when they're listening to your music. And this song is about what a guy or girl would potentially say to somebody who means so much to them on a music level. I've seen that happen. That's a real thing. This is what I mean by J. Cole, give us what we need. Give us the music that we need. I forgot the other record that's on disc 1, but it's another record where, and y'all let me know in the comments which record it is, because I want to talk about this record as well. It's the record where he has a friend from back in the days, and his friend was, I guess, quote unquote, homosexual or whatnot. And the storyline between what happens with that, like they lose touch. There's certain things that J. Cole understands that he did wrong now that he's older, going back to see this guy, to see if he's okay, him passing away. Like those are real stories. We understand that sometimes we may have been ultimately cruel to somebody, and whether we meant to do it or not, it was like that was the time. Those were the times where people would be very harsh to homosexual people, LGBTQ. Those were the times where it was the most hardest for that world of people. And for J. Cole to express that, yes, he said some wrong things in wrong context in that time, and later realized, the more mature he is now, that was something he did wrong. He should have showed his friend more love. He should have accepted his friend more. I know there's people out there who's trying to bash J. Cole for saying the F word, and the slurs in the song, but he said it in the song to bring you into the reality of what was happening back then and the things that he had to learn. It's nothing different from a movie that was made that's a slave movie. They have to show you what was actually going on in order for you to understand how serious it was and how you can reflect on what's happening now. That's why he used those uh, homosexual slurs, because he was telling a story. In order to tell the story, you got to tell the story how it was. He was being honest with telling the story the right way and how wrong he was. Great song. I would love to see a video to that. I would love to see a video so it can show people that are straight or people that are LGBTQ. It can show them how far we've come. How far we've come for people accepting one another. It's still a long road, but this is another step towards that. That's what music does. Music brings us together. Music helps us identify what was wrong then so we can fix it now. It also identifies what was right back then and what we still need to continue to do and bring a part of our new legacies. The Fall Off is an album that, in my opinion, is probably number 2 on J. Cole's list of best albums, in my opinion. Is it sonically the best sounding album or the best hit records? No. But it's the best, the second best cohesive album, in my opinion. In my opinion. Let me know what's number 1 in the comments. Let me know. Matter of fact, in the comments, let me know what's your top 3 J. Cole albums. Let me know. Mine is Forest Hills Drive, The Fall Off, which is for me is number 2. And number 3, I don't know what number 3 might be. Number 3 might be, because there's 2 albums that I'm battling with. I'm not gonna lie. There's 2 albums I'm battling with. I don't know if people understand how much of a level of stature that I take this particular album. I'll tell you which particular album. Hold on. But Forest Hills Drive for sure is number 1. And then I would say, y'all may not believe me. But I think Born Sinner would be 3. I think Born Sinner is where J. Cole just kind of like came full circle. So for me, it'll be Forest Hills Drive, The Fall Off, and then Born Sinner. For me, for sure. You know what I mean? This album, now let me be honest. Because I'm being honest about it across the board. I really like this album. I listen to this album so far every day. Except for probably one day where I was listening to Raekwon. This is what it is. This album is a great album for me. Is it the best album sonically or has the most hits? No. Nope. I say it again, no. But that's what makes these albums special, is because it connects to his soul as opposed to connecting to his career. It's more about, J. Cole is letting you into his heart. He's letting you into his feelings of the things that he's went through over these years. I respect that. There's some things that I don't like about the album, and I'll talk about that really briefly, but overall this album is incredible. The one thing that I don't like is because, and I talked to one of my friends about this at Starbucks. One of the things that I don't like about this album is the fact that I think J. Cole overdid it with trying to do his own hooks. I think that if he would have got some people to facilitate his hooks for him, it would have been a masterpiece. It would have been a masterpiece. He did a couple of hooks where he did renditions of other songs that we love that's popular. You know what I mean? Outkast. Me and you, your mom and your cousin too. I get that. But remember, it's hard for us to get that hook out of our head. So if you're gonna do it, you gotta either do it in a different flavor or you gotta try to beat that vocally. There was a Kirk Franklin rendition. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like it. I liked the song, but I didn't like the hook because I feel like, hey man, go get Kirk, go lay that down. Go get somebody that got vocals to lay that down, please. Thank you. Then the one I really didn't like, oh man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I hope he do a remix and get somebody like Jill Scott to do this hook. Or something, just something. When he did the DMX How It's Going Down, I did not like that. Matter of fact, do your own hook. You didn't even need that in there. You could have did your own hook, your own way, with your own words, and it would have been great. What he's saying in the lyrics and the beat is fire. It's fire. But you had to put that in there. Man, you know how much we love DMX, bro? I'm pretty sure J. Cole loved DMX. But it's hard to get DMX voice out of there. Nah, we not. I'm not going for that. I'm sorry. So those type of things where I feel like he could have went even more crazier on the hook. I would have loved for him to get the right person with the right vocal tone. Maybe this is your part to put the right feature in. And you know, maybe J. Cole did reach out to some people to do the features and they didn't come through. Maybe that was the case. But I feel like if those elements would have been added, it would have been a supreme masterpiece. It would have been a masterpiece. One thing I also will say, and y'all might be mad at me when I say this, but I gotta say it because I'm Polly Rob and I say things because it's real in my heart. If you don't agree, it's okay. I think J. Cole, I think sometimes he tries to do his hooks and his catchy moments. I think he first off, I think he really adores Kendrick Lamar. And I think he tries to do some of those hooks like how Kendrick does his hooks. Probably not the vocal tone and the voice change, but how, you know, if you give Dot a hook or Dot makes a hook, he gonna set it up to where it's a bop. And he gonna put his extras on it to do his thing. I don't think Cole has the voice to pull off so many of those hooks that way. I just think he doesn't. Although he writes good hooks and he writes good elements to make a good hook, I think he would be best served for him to give those hooks to somebody who has the right vocal tone to actually do it. Just my opinion. I feel like J. Cole should have at least executed that before his last album. If you just want to do the hooks yourself, I get it. I understand. This is an exceptional album. It's actually number 2 on my list. J. Cole has given me everything that I wanted him to give in his album. He's done that. And he's done that previously on all other albums. I have nothing to say. I'm fulfilled with this album. He gave me enough records to digest. I'm okay with that. I actually thank him for that. Last thing I'll say before I get out of here. And I want y'all to put in, let me know what's y'all favorite records are part of the album. And let me know why. And let me know if I'm missing something on the album. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if I'm missing something that I didn't catch. Where do we go from here? J. Cole said, that's it, no more albums. Is he serious about that or not? I want to know, where do we go from here? Because it's going to be hard to find anybody that's like J. Cole. You're probably not going to find nobody like J. Cole. And we still need these stellar albums to come out. We still need stellar artists like J. Cole. So let me know what y'all think in the comments. about J. Cole retiring. Let me know what you think about the album. And y'all know what it is. WORKLOAD.